Hi everyone, Alena here of Celebrate Every Step, and I am here today with Alaina Rivers of Luminous Mystique, and she is an author, a crystal Reiki master, Pleiadian, Atlantian, Lemurian Reiki provider, tarot reader, tea leaf reader, beekeeper, and sells amazing crystals, spiritual sprays, bath and body items, and yeah, just an all around amazing person. So I am so excited to have her here today. And she is looking a little frozen. So hopefully her internet comes back. And she is from Venus, PA, which is a little bit north of us here in Punxsutawney. And she will be a part of the Expo in Punxsutawney on June 24th, and she sells a lot of her items live. So definitely give her a follow. And oh goodness, let's see if her internet is going to pick up. Oh, she left and she'll come back and then we'll be together again. And yes, so definitely check her out on her Facebook and her Instagram because she does a lot of live sales. She's also an author, so I can't wait to talk to her about her books. As you all know, I am currently working on mine. I just submitted for feedback, and so I'm excited to talk to her about her process. Here she is. There she is. Hello.
Oh, I don't know why it keeps booting me off because I'm in my house and I should have decent Wi-Fi. So I'm so sorry.
That is okay. This happens sometimes. It's totally fine. And I was doing a nice long intro of you, and oh goodness, I think you're frozen again. Oh no. I don't think it's on my end. Looks good over here. Oh, there you are. Hi. Okay, are you there? Can you hear me? Are you able to hear me? No, no. Can you hear me at all? No. Alaina, can you hear me? Nope. Let me try to remove her and add her. Thank you for bearing with us with the technical difficulties. This happens sometimes. Okay, while she's coming in, so for those of you following along, the expo is coming up on the 24th, which, if you are watching this as it's happening, that will be this Saturday. And at the expo, I think she is just planning on selling items, but I'm really looking forward to talking with her about the different Pleiadian, Atlantian, and Lemurian Reiki, because that is different than the other people we have who are offering their Reiki services. There she is. Oh no, and I think you froze immediately. Do you want to get on? Do you have are you on your computer?
I'm on my computer, yeah.
Do you want to try your phone? Do you think that would work better? Or do you think this will be, you're here now, so let's see.
I'm here now. We can try it. If
Yes,
not, I
let's try.
can attempt my best.
It's all good.
I was say like,
Okay, go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say like I'm just on my regular like. I usually don't have issues, but apparently on my laptop I must. So.
Yeah, it's who knows. Like I never have issues with my internet, and then one of the interviews, it completely dropped. I had to completely reboot my computer. Like, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like the energy gets weird, and it has nothing, it's just what happens sometimes. So yeah, so I was filling them in on the different, the Pleiadian, the Atlantian, and the Lemurian Reiki. So we've had different Reiki people on so far, but we have not had somebody with those specific things. So I would love to hear about each of those.
Yeah, so the Pleiadian Reiki is basically a frequency that I put into a particular line of crystals, which I have them in front of me. I came prepared for once. So I'll just show them off real quick. So
Yeah.
we have the amethyst, which goes to the crown, your chakra system, and then labradorite goes to your third eye. Turquoise is for your throat. Sea jasper, or some people call it ocean jasper, goes to your heart. Citrine is for your solar plex. The tiger's eye goes to your sacral, and then the root is smoky quartz. So what I do once I have gone through went through the course, I go through the attunement, and then I can activate the frequency in those crystals. So these are the ones I selected for those frequencies, but you have to have those individual crystals. Like you have to have the amethyst for the crowns, as an example. So then when I go into like my Reiki session and I do like the scan over them, I kind of get an idea of where I want to put some of the crystals. So you don't have to use all of them. You can just pick, like if you are only gravitated towards like the turquoise for the throat, then that's okay. Like you can just use that crystal. And so I'll just kind of like hold on to it. And then I like basically say like I activate the Pleiadian frequency within this crystal and ask that it run through the entire Reiki session and throughout my client. And then I just sit it there and just let it do its thing throughout the session. Sometimes through the session, I get gravitated. I'm like, okay, maybe I should use this, tiger's eye right now. So I like with my Reiki in general, I just kind of go with the flow of things, and nothing's incorrect. That's just how it is.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very specific. And it's so funny that you picked up the turquoise, because that was the exact one that I was thinking of for me. And then you said, I'm going to pick up the turquoise. I was like, well, yep, she knows what she's doing, because that was the exact one I was thinking of. So that's awesome. I love it.
Yeah, I
so
use
tell
Reiki
me
for
about
crystals.
go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead.
So explain Pleiadian, because I know that there are a lot of newbies to all of this stuff, and I would love to hear why we would want the Pleiadian frequencies.
Right. So the Pleiadians are like a star seed, and they're one of a couple of the star seeds that help humankind along with their journeys in life and to heal Earth as well. So with the crystals and the frequency in the crystals, it just helps boost the Reiki, boost the properties within the crystals to assist in the process
healing
of the Reiki. It's just,
Yeah.
it's just like an add-on. Like you don't need to have the crystals. You don't need to have that done in a Reiki session. It's just another thing that I provide. And the crystals, like I do crystal healing in my Reiki session in general. And so these are just like an add-on that doesn't cost anything extra. It's just if I feel like the client needs it, then that's
a little
what
boost. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think for me, what I notice about the Pleiadian energy, the Lemurian, the Atlantian energy is that it feels much more pure to me. So it feels, it's hard to even put into words, but it's like, it's more direct, it's more pure. It's not hindered or hampered by our human emotions and our human doubts and our human, faults. It's just like a very pure healing energy is how I have always felt into it. And I'll be honest, I don't know a ton about each one of those. I know like bits and pieces here and there, but even like the Atlantean, and I would love to hear the information that you want to share on that. But I was doing, I did a party a couple weeks ago, and I was doing past life and purpose readings. So I do 2 different card readings at parties. I do a chakra balancing and energy reading, or the past life and purpose. And Atlantean came up for 2 different people. And I was like, okay, so we're going to go here. And I don't know like book knowledge or a whole lot. And I was just, all this stuff was just kind of pouring out of me. And I was like, just so, like I said to the person, I was like, I don't know this stuff. Like, this is coming through me for you in this moment. I don't actually know any of this information. So it was really neat to tap into that energy and just, I'm a feeler. So just feel that beautiful, pure. I can't think of another word other than pure. Just really, really heart-based, pure healing energy. So yeah, tell me more about the Atlantian and Lemurian side of your Reiki as well, please.
Yeah. Okay. So I came across a Reiki teacher who offers a huge list of all different kinds of Reiki. And when I was like, well, first I thought I didn't even know. I just thought there was like, a couple different, like, like you have like the Kundalini and stuff like that. But I mean, he offered, the list is like extensive. And so I kept going through it and looking, and I kept going back to the Atlantian and the Lemurian one. And I'm like, you know what? Like, there's nothing stopping me from taking it. And at that point, like, I knew very little, especially about the Lemurian, like Atlanteans. I knew about like Atlantis and that, not anything extensive about it, but just that like there were a civilization that was, I can't even remember now how long ago, but in the ancient past, that they were very advanced for their where they were at that time period. Very spiritually based, very like technology based, and they were, I think, taken out by like a flood or like a great devastation, and nobody knows where Atlantis is. Like, people have some theories on it, but nobody has found the exact location and has been able to verify like that's where it is. So I came across like that Reiki. I'm like, let's just take it. And like, once I learned about the Lemurians, I was more drawn to that aspect. With they came before the Atlanteans, and they're another star seeds. And when their civilization on Earth collapsed, they fled. They're supposed to be in under Mount Shasta. To this day, they just don't come out that often. But when you do see them or encounter, I will say, like, any of the star seeds, like, especially if you're a spiritual person. And I think even if you're not, there's just something different about them. Like, when I've never encountered them, but like what I've heard is that like when you come across one, they look human, but there's just something different. And then, there's something there. But the Lemurians were very tall with like pure, bright, like sharp blue eyes and like whitish blonde hair. And whenever I took the Reiki, you got to learn about them. And then both Atlanteans and Lemurians are very associated with like water and the sea. So like dolphins and stuff like that are associated with them. And once I got through the course itself, I have to talk about the attunement because it was insane. And then the course, you have to go through different embodiments, and like the whole thing was a completely different experience. So when I scheduled the Reiki attunement, obviously it's done distant, but I scheduled it for like 5:00 and went out to dinner. And I was like, oh, I need to make sure I'm back because I wanted to be kind of like relaxed when it was going to like happen. And while me being me, like, I'm a talker, and so I was driving home at the time I was supposed to be having this attunement, and I was booking it, and I'm like, oh, I'm not going to make it. And I don't know how anyone else, like, everyone perceives Reiki different, but I get what I call like the Reiki tingles, where it just feels like a tingling sensation all through me. And I knew immediately, like physically, when that attunement was taking place for this Atlantean and Lemurian. Like, I got the tingles, and then I could just feel like the tingles just going down my face. And I'm driving while this is happening. And like, that was a crazy experience. Like, I've never felt an attunement or even just a general Reiki session like that. And if I would explain it to you, I'd probably sound like I'm insane. But just the way it had went down like my face, down my neck, and then like as it like I was assuming the session was coming to an end, I could feel it going right back up to my crown, and it was just insane. And then when you go through the different embodiments, is what I call them, they start you off like through like a guided meditation, and before he could even get out like what you're supposed to be envisioning, I was like in my mind's eye, I was standing on the beach and I was like watching the water wash. I can't talk up my legs and stuff, and that's what I was picturing. And then he say in the guided meditation, like, you're now standing on the beach and the water is like washing up your legs. I'm like, get out, because that's exactly what I was like.
Oh my goodness, I love that.
Thinking. But it was a fun course to take, fun to learn a little bit about them. And so like I'm attuned to the Lemurian light, which when I use it during a session, I just picture it coming down and over the client to basically act like a shield to protect them from like energies coming in, like unwanted energy. And I just allow that to be there until it's time for them to come back to me. And then I just kind of like resurface it over. Mm-hmm. And the Atlantian Reiki gave me some symbols, and it's just, to me, like the Atlantian Reiki part was mainly used for those symbols. But I would love to do in the future is create an actual like Atlantean setting, in a sense, like where I have like ocean sounds in the background and like scents and colors. Like maybe I gravitate more towards like blue things and create like a full-on Reiki experience with that. But
yeah, that would be amazing. And I do love that whenever we're noticing something within ourselves and then we get that confirmation from a completely different person. I feel like that's such a great confirmation of, oh, we're not just making this all up, because I know I feel that. I hear that from my clients so much. Like, I feel like I'm just making this up. How do I know it's real? How do I know it's true? But it's things like that where, you're thinking and feeling one thing, and then he says that, and it's like, oh yeah, we are all connected. Oh yeah, this is real and true. And for me, I always, because it's the past life, because it's the current life healing, it does feel like imagination. But when you get the emotional response, either the tears or the anger or the sadness or whatever it is, or when you, feel that connection to that memory that comes back for you, that's what I try to encourage people to hold on to, so it's like, yes, that is the key. That is when you know that this is actually happening for you and that there is healing happening. And I think that same thing in Reiki, where the feeling of it can be so subtle sometimes that it is hard to catch it. So I love that you had such a profound with the Reiki tingles, because I call those the tingles of truth, or the tingles of, just spirit being close by. But yeah, that's exactly it. And then you either have a release of emotion, or you feel better, you feel happier, you feel lighter, you feel freer, you sleep better, whatever it is that happens on the other side of it. That's the key to me. It's like, it doesn't matter necessarily what the avenue is, but how do you feel on the other side of it? That's what's important, really. Yeah. I would love, oh my gosh, I love the ocean and dolphins, and my gosh, would that be amazing to create kind of a whole experience around that?
Yeah. One thing, I'm like an expander. Like, I just want to learn as much as I possibly can. And so one of the courses I'm taking right now is on meditation, where I can create like guided meditations and be able to teach like in a setting is like, not necessarily like teach meditation, but like to like have like a group in front of you and do that like guided meditation in a group setting. And so, yeah, I would love to create like a guided meditation that takes you like to the ocean for that Reiki. So
Yeah. Yeah, that would
something,
be
something down the
incredible.
road.
Yeah, and it, I do a lot of group meditation, and it's meditation and hypnosis, but those group experiences are so powerful because you're getting everybody's energy. You're getting everybody's spirit teams coming in. You're getting just that additional boost from everybody's energy all together. And yeah, I love doing the classes and the courses, but especially the experiential piece when we're doing the group meditation and hypnosis all together. And it is just, it's just so powerful and transformative when we come together in those ways. So I was just working on my, I'm going to do a group. I do group hypnosis at the season changes now. And so I'm going to have an in-person fire here and then do an online group hypnosis for summer solstice. And I
Oh,
just love I just love bringing in that intention and that sacredness, whether it's the season change, whether it's Lemurian, whether it's, for healing, whatever it is, when you were bringing that together and really infusing the practice with intention, it's just next level, I love it.
it is. I started doing distant Reiki lives, and
Mm.
one of the things that I have gotten into is explaining when I'm kind of like in my little intro, which is probably like 20 minutes long on itself. That, that I love the fact that we come together as a group to heal. And what I'm trying to get off to anyone that watches the live for the distance Reiki is that it's not me healing you, it's you and me and more. And it's
Mm-hmm.
like, even if you're coming on and watching the replay, it's just knowing that we are healing all of us together, and it's
Yes.
done in a group setting. So that's something that I am actually really like promoting, is that us
Mm-hmm.
all coming together, and yeah, us healing. The healing's done in a group setting and in like, yeah,
Yeah.
I love the
It's,
concept of
mm-hmm.
you, me, and more.
Yeah, and that's exactly what it's so funny because I was rewriting the explanation of the group hypnosis, and it was me and you and your spirit team are setting your intentions, identifying what you want to release, identifying what you need to bring in, because yeah, it's not me, it's not just you, but it's
Yeah.
all of us together plus spirit, source, whatever you want to call it. And just in studying different texts and religions and things, there's so much talk about the collective, the highest and greatest good, the collective consciousness. And as I'm writing my book, I'm talking about, as I do my healing work, then it allows the people around me to do their healing work. So, of course, like that's my job with being a
Mm-hmm.
therapist and doing the hypnosis and all of those other healing pieces, but it's more than that. It's just that by my healing, then my husband does his work and then my kids do their work. And then, that ripple effect just goes out, and me smiling at somebody or having a conversation with somebody at the store, or, there's just so many avenues for that, let alone just the fact that we're all energetically connected anyway. So, as
Right.
we all heal and elevate, the universal consciousnesses as well. And I think that's something that's hard for people to wrap their heads around, but I know that it's true and real out there for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Well, that's awesome.
Yeah. So tell me about your writing. Tell me about your books.
Okay, so I decided several years ago that like I just wanted to sit down and write. Now, take in mind I have no experience. I didn't go to school for it, but I just wanted to see if I could even do it. Like I've gotten told so many times that when I tell stories that you should be writing this down, or you should write, and writing to me is an intimidating thing. Like I thought,
Mm-hmm.
oh, you go through so much like ego issues where it's like, oh, well, am I even good enough for that? And who would read
Mm-hmm.
that? And you go through all of the stuff, and just to break all of that and to say, hey, I'm just gonna try it. And so that's what I did. I grabbed my laptop on like a winter's day, and I sat down and I said, yeah, I'm not gonna worry about, grammar or anything, just whatever's in my head. I just want to get it out. And even if the entire thing is one long run-on sentence, it is what it
Mm-hmm.
is. And so that's what I did. I sat down, started writing. Before I knew it, I looked up and I had sat there for 4 hours
Oh my
writing
gosh.
steady. And so I decided, maybe there is something to this. And I just kept going. And before I knew it, I created a very, very, very rough draft.
Yes.
And then just started building on it. Like, it took a lot of work. It took, um, again, like, I don't have the experience. My grammar was horrible. Um, and yeah, so I have it here. I wrote my first novel. So this is part of a series. This is book one. And the series is called Stalked from the Shadows. And this book is called Dear Lena. And so this book is about a girl. She's getting ready to come into her senior year of high school. And she has like a good, solid foundation of friends. She's been dating this guy for a couple years. He's like well prominent. He's captain of the football team, class treasurer, parents own like a business in town. And she's like head over heels for him. Thinks everything's she has her life set, basically, like what she is envisioning when she leaves high school. So then, as like she comes into the school year, she starts getting these letters in the mailbox that there's no return address. It just has her name on it, and they're very lovey-dovey letters. And so obviously she thinks it's her boyfriend. Well,
Mm.
she very quickly realizes it's not. And as the letters come in, they get a little bit more disturbing, and then she realizes that she's being watched. And then the whole book is just basically figuring out who it is, because everybody in it is a suspect. And the way I wrote it, it's like, you like hone in on somebody, but then something happens that, they were either there or that just like eliminates them.
Yeah.
And then it'll take you into book two, which I'm currently writing. So.
Awesome. That sounds awesome. And yeah, writing is insanely difficult. Like, I have a whole, because I'm an avid reader. I love memoir. I love historical fiction. I have been a voracious reader my entire life. And now that I'm trying to write, I'm like, wow, I am like so impressed with authors, because it is so much work. And
It is.
not only, what you were talking about with being so intimidating. Yeah, like, to sit down and write, it's hard not to edit yourself in the beginning too.
Mm-hmm.
Like, my publisher is, she says just write. So my writing started as basically just like you said, it was a stream of consciousness, and
Mm-hmm.
it would be, this story here and this story there. So I'm writing nonfiction, but it would just come out in bits and pieces. But then to sit down and try to figure out, now that I have that, how do I want to lay that out? Is it going to be chronological? Is it going to be by topic? And then, yeah, just the ego of, who am I to write a memoir?
Yeah.
Does my message matter? Do I matter? And so it's been so fascinating to go through all of that. And, in my book, I'm writing about my grief journey, but the way that I tie that into my healing journey is what I call a death of self. And so death of self is letting go of those old stories or those old beliefs or those old patterns that are holding us back from being our true selves. And so it's exactly that. Like, there is a death of self of, do I matter? And there is a death of self of, what do I bring to the world? And, that was tied into some of the actual deaths that I experienced. But then that all kind of came back up as I'm writing it out and putting it on paper. It's like, is anybody going to want to read this? Is it going to actually benefit another person? And, my publisher talks about writing for yourself first, and then thinking about, like, okay, what is the message? What is my why beyond that? And so that's a really cool way to look at it. So even for fiction, if that's a story living in your head, there's a reason that it's there. And so then getting that out on paper. And so, yeah, I totally resonate with the the intimidation, the ego, the stream of consciousness, and just putting it all together. So I love talking to other authors who actually understand the process. We got some animal friends with us today.
We do. She usually makes herself present. She's taking the table, so you might have to get off. But my book took me about 3 years to write and get it out there, because a lot of it was fear-based. I want to say it was probably ready in probably about the first year, but then I kept going back and, rereading it and fluffing it. And then it just sat there for another year. And it was so funny because, like, I had my copyright paper filled out, like the application to get it copyrighted. I had it filled out. I just didn't hit that submit button. And the entire time, though, I kept saying, like, this book will come out exactly when it needs to. And even if it's me having to work through all my internal issues to get it out, then so be it. And it was just like, I don't know, I kept getting people asking me, when is your book coming out? When's your book coming out? And I think that was my sign, even though that has happened plenty of times throughout the years. But it just was a click. And it was like, well, there's no answer to that, because it's all within me. And there's no reason why I can't get it out. It's ready. Yeah. And throughout the process, I decided I'm going to self-publish it. So that on its own, like, I take on all the responsibilities. I'm the editor. I'm all of that. And a good friend of mine, I had him make the cover. So he was a big part of that journey too. But it was all on me. The marketing's all on me. So that was a lot too to take on, ego-wise, thinking, like, again, you come back to the who am I thing, which is the worst thing to even be in.
Yes.
But I just took that leap and I put it out there. And I mean, I haven't sold crazy amount of it, but I sold over what I was thinking I would. And I'm surprised at the people that have bought it, and I'm even more surprised at the response I get. And the main response that I get is, and it's not to, like, throw too much what's it called when you I can't think of the word, but anyways, I get people are like, who was it? And, like, that's the main message I get, because obviously it's part of a series, so we'll take you into the second book. And they're like, when is the second book coming out? I'm like, well, I'm currently writing it. I have been dragging my feet about it. So hopefully, after your event here this Saturday, my summer pretty much is wide open. So I'm going to use that as part of my writing to just work on that book and get it out. But one thing with my writing, I don't know if you could identify at all with this when it comes to your writing too, but I have to create characters in the book, and then I have to take on, in a sense, almost those personalities. Like Lena's personality is different from Ruby's personality, and her personality is different from this person. And as I'm writing, like, I have to step out of my own personality, because it's not me as these characters. I have to think, like, okay, this person is this type of personality, so how would they respond to XYZ if this is going on? And then Lena was obviously the main character, and I would feel, as I'm writing, I would feel all the stuff that was going on, and I would have to stop, because I was almost having, like, anxiety attacks as I was writing my book, not because I was anxious about writing it, but I was anxious feeling those things, and I'd have to stop and remind myself, like, you're not this character. This is not going on.
Yeah.
Life. And like, as I was writing, I would notice myself like intensely writing, where I'd be like all like tense, and like my writing would like my typing was getting hard, and you know, and I was like almost beating the crap out of my keyboard as I'm writing, and you'd get like your heart would just start pounding, and like that would be my sign where I'm like, no, like I need to step back and just remind myself where I am and who I am.
Oh
So
gosh.
was,
yeah, I totally resonate with that. And so it's not necessarily, they're not characters, they were real people, but going back and writing about my grandma's death. So that took me back to all of those memories with my grandma and all of those interactions. And so I did tap into their energy for the messages that felt important to share in their sections. And so, yeah, it was, you know, my grandma, and then my brother, and an uncle, and a cousin, and a college boyfriend. And then, of course, the death of our son, or, you know, being pregnant with our son, and then his death and the aftermath. My gosh, like for sure. And it really took a toll. Like I actually started feeling better. I went to a friend's class on Friday night, and I walked in and he was like, what is going on with you? I was like, it's that bad? He was like, yeah. And, you know, of course he's, you know, a psychic medium, super, super intuitive. And, I was like, yeah, I'm in rough shape. And so thankfully it was a super small class. And, so he did, you know, his magic, and I finally slept well. I could eat yesterday and today, because I had a week of, I couldn't make any decisions. I mean, couldn't even, my husband would be like, what do you want to eat? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. I can't make a decision. Like it was bad. And it was that fallout from so much grief and trauma and emotion, and just, you know, looking back at all of the past mistakes I've made and the bad decisions I've made, and, you know, all of these things, and regret and shame, and oh my gosh. So because because I had submitted to the publisher for feedback, because like you were saying, where you just sat with it for a year, I was just like, I was rewriting this section, and then I'd rewrite and reread this section, and then I'd be like, should I move this to here? And again, it was just that whole back and forth whirlwind that was happening within my mind, but of course within my body. And so I just sent it off to her, and I was like, I need new eyes on this. Like I can't keep, I cannot keep spinning in circles with this. And so I think it was that, you know, anxiety of sending that off, and somebody actually reading what I wrote, and what is she going to say, and what is she going to think, and what am I going to have to do next? And yeah, so yeah, it's no joke to write, and it takes a lot. And yeah, I give you a lot of credit, and I'm so glad that you're working on your second book, because, you know, that is kind of the thing too, is okay, what's, you know, the next. Yes, we want to celebrate. Yes, we want to market and get the first book out there. But we just did a marketing class for the author academy that I'm in. And she said sometimes the best marketing is writing another book, because then they find you because of that book. And then they go back and read all of your other stuff. So it's just an interesting world that I knew nothing about until I started writing about, because I started a book. It was, gosh, not last year, but like the whole year before. And then after Bodhi died, I shifted direction. So it wasn't a completely new book, but just, I mean, it was a completely new book, but some of the same themes and some of the same people from my past within that book. But, yeah, it takes a toll. In a good way sometimes, but like takes a toll in a not so great way sometimes.
I mean, it's a very freeing experience too.
Yeah.
And I like, it's a passion that I never knew I had, you know, and I enjoy it. But I do know that I only write when I have that love. Like, you know, I kept getting so many messages about when's the next book, and oh, I need to write it. And so I'd get in and start, and it's still to this, to like right now, I will get in and I get so wrapped up in the editing that I can't even like focus on the writing itself. And to me, that's just a sign that like you're not supposed to be doing this right now. Again, just like, you'll write when you're supposed to write, and just allowing that to be okay. And so,
yeah, it is an interesting interplay between discipline and feeling the call to write. And that's where I've really had to find that balance of, okay, like, you need to get this done. So there does need to be a little bit of discipline of just sitting down, even if it's 20 minutes. Every Friday we do a writing sprint. And in that 15 minutes, I could get 400 to 1,200 words in 15 minutes. And like, that's huge, And so just remembering, like, I don't need a full hour. If I have 20 minutes, that is plenty of time to sit down and write. Because I was kind of getting in my own way around that of like, I need to have a free morning. I need to have a free afternoon. Well, that never happens. I might have 20 minutes, but even to have a full hour free isn't really realistic. So yeah, it's just it is a very dynamic practice of sitting, writing, creating, whether it's for the book or content or just, putting an email out there. That all takes energy and thought and intention to get it out there. So it's a neat thing.
Yeah. I definitely struggle with the balance, because once I do get into writing mode, I have a hard time getting out of it. Where that's all I want to do. That's all I want to do is sit there and write. And then even when I'm not writing, I'm in my head, like playing scenarios out. And I totally lose my present state, because I'm just in another place, and I have to like rein myself in and be like, remember where you are. Remember that, like,
yeah, it is
not like, it'll take tolls on other things if I come into that where I just fully immerse myself in it. And not to say that it's a bad thing to fully immerse. It's just that's the outcome, is that I totally lose track of my present reality, because I'm just so wrapped up in so many different aspects. It's not even like the storyline. I'll get wrapped up in editing, and I'll get wrapped up in who knows what, because my mind just goes. So like, I could be clear off in left field thinking about something, but it's still related to the book
in some way. Yes. Yeah. I have a running event in my phone that's book, and then it's ideas that come to me. And then, so sometimes it's okay if I just make a note, but then other times I do talk to text. And so then I'll jump on that app real quick and just get that stream of consciousness out of my head and down into the app to be dictated, so that it's not just swirling around up there. Or then worse, if I forget what it was that came to me, so but yeah, for sure, I can be very not present because I'm thinking of this thing or thinking of that thing, or, oh my gosh, I need to reach out to this person and it can be a never ending, but it's a good practice, because then it's important work. So then how do I balance that important work, getting it out, making the notes, and then coming back to the present moment? So, it's been a good practice over the last year of, okay, let me breathe and come back to being here with my kids right now, or, let me pay attention to my husband while we're driving somewhere instead of being in my phone and writing. Although I did fall victim to that this morning as we drove up to Renovo. I was on my phone writing a couple of sections that once I sent it, I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't include this piece, or, oh my gosh, I forgot to say this thing that feels really important. And then I got car sick, so I had to stop anyways.
I've done that. I've done that. I've gone on trip, like, maybe we're going to Pittsburgh, or even just maybe up to Seneca, which is 20 minutes, and I get on and start getting in it. Oh yeah, like being on your phone and or reading sometimes just totally messes you within the car. And
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so that was actually good. The nausea brought me back to the present moment, and I was like, okay, get off your phone and pay attention to your family. So, oh goodness.
Yeah.
It has been so lovely to talk with you. We were talking before we got on that I feel like I know you because it's been a year. I met you. You found me because of last year's expo. And so we've been Facebook friends since. And, I've watched your lives and watched your posts and all of those kinds of things. So I feel like I know you, but I don't actually know you. So it has been so wonderful to get to talk to you today and get to know you a little bit more. And I know that our friendship will just keep growing from here. So
yeah, it's been a pleasure. I'm the same way. Like I have watched your stuff, and try to interact with you through like your posts and stuff. And yeah. So it's been nice to actually sit down and have a conversation versus like at your event where we just chatted
a couple minutes. Yeah. A couple minutes in the midst of the chaos of an expo with, hundreds of people there. So is there anything else that you want to share about the expo? Now, are you going to be doing, because I know you were kind of going back and forth on if you're going to offer Reiki or if you're just going to sell items at the expo. What did you decide on?
So I'm just going to sell items. Something
awesome.
That's part of my process that I just haven't figured out or mastered in a sense is feeling drained after doing events like that. Now, I even get drained after Reiki. So Reiki has not been something that I offer in a group like that. But I've done card readings, and like it doesn't matter how much I've grounded myself prior. By the end of the event, like I'm wiped out, like totally wiped out. And then the last event I did, it was like a ladies' night, and I think I was only supposed to have like 25 readings, and I'm like 90% sure I read everybody that came to that event. And it was a line. Like the moment I sat down and started, it was a line. It was totally backed up, and then by the time I got done with the last person, the event was almost wrapped up. And I like got in my car, and it was maybe a 4 or 5 hour event. I felt like I was there for about 12 hours. Like I came home, and I like pretty much fell on my bed, and I was like, I'm like, I don't know. And being in a setting like that, I got to the point where I felt like I was rapid firing the reading, and I wasn't having that connection that I need to. And like halfway through, I just kept telling people like, if this doesn't resonate, like I'm so sorry. Like it's setting
so
like
much
this,
at this point.
So just something I need to work on, or maybe I don't know, maybe it's just talking to more people that do the events like that and figuring out like from them like how what their process is and how I don't know what it is, but
it is a learning curve. I mean, I've been doing expos for a million years, and I've gone back and forth on things like, I used to offer a quick 20 to 30 minute past life session, and then I just decided, that doesn't resonate with me. I want to do the full 90 minutes. I'm not shortcutting things. And so I just say, I just talk to people at expos, and then I get their emails, I follow up with them, and then I get sessions from there where we do the full sessions. And I've done the parties with the card readings, and I limit that. It's like, I'm not gonna do a 5-minute reading, or if we're doing a reading, then we're doing at least 20 minutes. And now I do at expos, I have a bag of all of the different oracle decks that I sell, and people will pull a card, and I will do a quick 2, 3, 5-minute interaction right there. But that's very different than somebody sitting down, and people don't pay for that. And but I get energized from expos, and I think it's just personality too. I'm a Leo, so like being in front of people, talking to people, that lights me up. For other people, it is super draining. And so, yeah, just finding your personal process around that. And I drink a ton at expos that are full of trace minerals because I need those minerals to keep my brain and body going. So, yeah, it might be interesting to talk with some other vendors and what their process is, because I have a very specific process of protecting my energy before I go into an event, clearing my energy after each interaction. Like I said, the minerals are huge for me. And then that energy balancing and clearing after on my way home. And so, I'm sure everybody has their own unique process that they do. And you ultimately you have to do what resonates with you too. If doing the Reiki at an expo doesn't feel good, then get the emails, book them for later, just
Right.
So I think you have to do what works best for you too.
Right. But I'll have plenty of stuff there at my table. Like, and my daughter's, she'll be there, which at that last event that I did, that I was just talking about, like, I felt bad for her because I was so focused on the reading. She had to run the entire table herself.
Yeah.
So any sales, anything was totally on her. And that was something that she hadn't done before. Like, she assists me with that, but her being the one in charge was, and she's like,
it was a lot for both of you.
It was. So I said, I maybe I'll do something on a table, kind of like what you said about, like, you have the bag. Maybe I'll just spread some cards out, and if someone wants to grab one, they can grab one. But as far as me sitting down and doing a reading, it's just, I feel like I would have a hard time balancing that and my sales.
And your table. Yeah, it is a lot.
Because I'll have crystals, and I'll have like my bath products and my spiritual sprays and jewelry and all of that there, and everything gets Reiki put in it. So
awesome. I am so excited to have you this year. And it was just so lovely to talk with you today. So thank you for being here, and thank you all for watching and listening. And if you have any questions or want to book a session with Alena or with myself, all of our information will be in the description and in the show notes. And thank you all for tuning in. Bye.
Bye.